Hello and welcome back to the Cyber Control headquarters. I am Steven.
And I'm Andrew.
And this is Cyberman Son. So hey, would you believe that I was so worried we wouldn't be able to find the second parts to the Cyberman saga, but it's actually out on DVD. We are watching
The Moonbase.
The Moonbase. 2 of the episodes are animated by Big Finish. That's fantastic. So we can actually sit back and watch this. So, shall we buckle in?
Yes.
So at this point, Doctor Who hadn't started using the second Doctor's theme. He was still using the original theme.
Does that mean that this is a pretty early episode?
Yeah, it's a very early episode for the second Doctor. He's still brand new. Remember Ben and Polly from the 10th Planet? They're still his companions, but he also has a new companion here.
Oh, it's an animated one. That means it was deleted.
Yep, it was wiped. The original part 1 was wiped.
Why do they look so angry?
It's just the way Big Finish draws people.
It must be. You're landing the jobs
It must
exactly where you
be
said you
rocks.
would.
So they think they're on Mars for some reason.
Yeah.
Even though the moon doesn't look anything like Mars, but...
Yeah, that's the color red. They didn't take away the audio though?
No.
Wait a mo.
That's
What people used to do way back in the day is when they really liked a show, they would go up to the TV with a little audio recorder and they would record the audio so they could listen to it later. This is before VCRs and you could record off your TV. And sometimes in the studio they'd have a separate audio track that they would hold on to.
They barely even move their bodies.
It's better than nothing. Now remember, they filmed this, so what they had is they had a bunch of wires and guys holding the wires on the other end to yank them so that they would actually jump and float in the air.
The animation was way better.
Yeah, the animation would look way better, yeah.
Why did they delete a lot of the old episodes?
They didn't need them anymore. They thought they wouldn't
Why
need them
does the
anymore.
back of her head look like a rose?
Oh, she's wearing her hair in a bun.
They look like statues.
You damn cat, that will make you sick.
What is she eating?
Chocolate ice cream. So they're controlling all the weather on the Earth with that special array.
Why?
Well, think about it. Like, what if you had a way of controlling things so that you could stop hurricanes before they reach shore?
We should have all this back in 1966.
Oh no, I got a headache.
What are you guys doing up there?
What's happening up there?
Yeah,
Everything you were guiding is now 45 degrees off course.
Also, you wasted my $45
One of
trillion.
my men was taken ill. We're operational again now.
That sounds great.
The controller would like to know the cause of the illness. The
What
controller
is that?
is busy. I'm sorry.
That can't be a Cyberman.
Why can't it be a Cyberman?
Look at it.
Conversation
What is this?
someone or something.
Yeah, like, what?
Yeah.
Cyberman wouldn't have that.
How can we trace down this mystery illness with the doctor himself down with it?
We better get out of these things and see how Jake is. Perhaps I could be of help in the sick bay now.
How do you think he is, Doctor?
Oh, he's not too bad. He's a bit concussed and feverish, but he'll be all right with rest.
Piper. The crewman Piper. Well, don't let him get me.
Never mind, he'll die in the next 24 hours.
Of his can. As far as I can make out, this Piper appears to McCrimmon just before he dies.
Oops.
What? It's just electricity.
Right to the head.
Number 14.
Poutine? What?
Ralph.
Ralph?
Yeah, these ones are more metal.
This human. And these ones can electrocute?
Phantom Piper.
Jamie thinks he's the Phantom Piper.
Who's the Phantom Piper? I'm feeling so sick.
Okay, buddy. You just relax and get some sleep. I'll be right back.
The Viper! The Viper!
Whoa, 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 whoa. What?
I saw him. The Viper.
There's no one there. There's no one there. It's in your imagination. Go back to sleep.
The Viper! The Viper! Put him away!
Whoa, what's going on?
The Piper! The Piper!
We're in a space station. We're in the middle of deep space. There's nothing here. You're just dreaming it. Go back to sleep.
I'm not gonna panic this time.
And you that you destroyed.
Let's just watch the next episode. Ghost me in the middle.
Well, all he knows is it's shiny, and he's got a fever.
Oh, okay. It looks more plastic here now.
Yeah. It's supposed to be metal.
It's you. The Phantom Piper. No. No. I'll not go with you. Do you hear me, Piper? No, leave me. Leave me. I'll not
Looks
go
like
with you.
paper
Do you hear me?
machine.
Leave me.
It's
No.
nice.
I'll not go with you.
I'm only taking the sick one.
Yeah, he doesn't want Jamie.
Why?
The Cybermen were all killed when Mondas blew up, weren't they?
Stop this Cyberman nonsense.
Listen to
There
this.
were Cybermen, every child knows them. They were all destroyed ages ago.
So we all thought.
That's enough. Now let's have a little calm.
So they all know about the Cybermen, but they learned it as kids because it was what 90 years beforehand, and then they all know that all the Cybermen died when Mondas exploded. So according to them, they think there's no way it could be a Cyberman.
No, then. We can't go yet. Well, why not? They don't want us here. Because there is something evil here, and we must stay.
Evil, don't be daft.
Evil is what I meant. There are some corners of the universe which have read the most terrible things. Things which act against everything that we believe in. They must be fought. This disease, for instance, isn't really a disease at all. But I can help you with it. You'll see. I'll find the cause for you. The fault must be in the Gravitron.
Neil's here.
Yes, hubby.
Hey, Mr. Beans actor.
No.
Move the probe and we'll see if the indicators move the right distance on the map,
Over
okay?
there.
Remarkably,
Which
on
one?
the probe itself.
That one right there.
The French one? Yeah, he looks kind of like Ron Atkinson.
Right.
We'll have to increase the reactor power.
You can't do that. The doors will be
Are you
loud.
serious? That doesn't matter.
Yes, it's not Ron Atkinson.
It looks so much
It's not Ron Atkinson.
What if it's his father?
They look all right.
Look at those old style computers.
Be it 15 millivolts.
That one is
They use-
the end of
26.
No, but that was the type of computers they had at the time. Magnetic tape.
Roger.
We don't use magnetic tape like that anymore. Like, not
They
this
should
old
have guessed
technology.
that.
I'll see you
Nah, they had no idea.
values. You
I'm holding a knife.
Right.
It's not a knife, they're forceps.
Channel 1. Yo.
Hair.
8. Right. 1. 3. Yo. 4.
And he does not give up.
6. Right. 8.
He just doesn't care.
Right.
There's the Piper.
He won't attack her.
Good?
If they're sick. Oh no.
The Piper. I knew.
up with absolutely nothing. Now, I know.
Don't touch him. Let me look.
Here, Charlie, and you, what's your name, Ben? Give us a hand to get him into the medical unit.
Try not to touch his skin. You say you searched all the base.
Yes, all of it.
Every nook and cranny.
Yes.
No chance of anyone hiding anywhere.
None whatever.
Did your men search in here?
Well,
Did they?
well, there were always people in here, so they probably...
Did they search in here?
No.
There's nowhere in here they could hide.
Cyber boots.
Another enemy?
Yeah.
They got rid of this one. Would have been cool.
Look at those cyber boots. They're made for walking.
That doesn't sound like the last voice, that's for sure.
No, they changed the voice.
You're right. It is them.
I would ask how they're still alive if you wanted.
Do you like those wiffle balls they got on their shoulder and arm?
You tried to punch.
Yeah, see, I told you, you can't beat up a Cyberman.
Raise your left arm. Raise your right arm. Control is excellent. Transfer that one to the capsule.
Well, because, Duchess, the temperature inside is about 4 million degrees, that's all.
Well, in my day, they used to sprinkle witches with holy water.
I'd like to use that beyond them.
Well, let's just sprinkle them with holy water.
What?
What are the Cybermen
What?
covered in?
As far as I know, their suit is a metal of some sort.
But what about that thing on their chests? You know, the part which replaces their hearts and lungs.
Some sort of plastic, I think.
What weapon do they have?
You see, it's simple. Nail varnish remover dissolves nail varnish. Nail varnish the plastic. So we do what Jamie says. We sprinkle them, see?
Okay, so it's a little more refined than nail polish removers. They're actually making their own version of the chemicals.
It works.
I still don't know what you're on about.
If we can sprinkle some of that on their chest units, it might help to soften them.
I get it. You mean it'll cover their controls or something?
Yes, that's it.
Here we go, get it, Jeffrey!
And all it takes is a spray bottle.
I can't believe this is actually working. But he's got it in a little bomb.
And does the Cyberman know that?
I don't think so.
You
Ben has amazing aim.
does?
Apparently.
Yeah, how did he recognize that in the moon? All you need to do is just throw a water nuke in there.
Well, it's not water though, remember, it's a bunch of chemicals. Okay, so our last interview didn't exactly go very well, but this time we're going to be on our game, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. All right. Cyber Leader, are you there, Cyber Leader?
Silence. We are Cybermen.
Hello, Cyber Leader. Thank you for joining us.
Will listen.
Sorry, can you come again?
We are here to take over the Gravitron and use it to
Sorry,
destroy
just one more time,
the
just
surface
help
of
me.
the Earth by
If you could just say
changing
what-
the weather.
Please, okay, if you could just explain... I just don't get...
Yes, we know of this weirdness of yours. We are fortunate. We
Can't
do
blame
not
this on
possess
me next
reason.
episode. Yay, no invasion. These old Doctor Who episodes are not as eventful as the new ones.
It was different. TV was different. You only got to see each episode once, and it was a serial, right? So one part would lead into the next part, would lead into the next part. That's how radio shows used to be. So a lot of TV in the early days were very much like radio shows, but radio shows you could watch. And because you're hearing things over radio, they had to describe everything, right? So you had to hear talking. So television these days is very different than television in the 60s. But they were trying, they were changing. Things were changing. Plus, there was a lot of things you weren't allowed to show on TV. Like, you couldn't show blood on TV. Like, you just weren't allowed. And actually, the amount of violence that they get away with on here is probably the most you can get away with. I mean, there's people being killed and converted, and yeah, that's probably the most they could get away with. They were always trying to get away with more, but this was probably the most they could do.
Nowadays there could be that.
Oh, nowadays there's lots of blood on TV. There's blood in cartoons. See, like this is like horrific stuff. I mean, he's just he's got this horrible disease, and he's mind controlled, and it's kind of horror-esque. Now you can get away with a lot more in movies.
Like Psycho?
Psycho, yeah. Well, sure, but you could get away with more in movies, but TV was still kind of hard.
Pepe, there's nothing
I
else
don't
I
see
can
it.
do.
Yes, no, there it is.
I don't even know where he's moved yet.
Everybody take cover. Get down home.
Okay.
Is the Gravitron still switched on?
Yes.
Then I shall certainly stay here.
Oh, a giant cyber cannon.
Is that how they broke this? Oh.
It bounced off.
Switch on.
Promise me.
The Gravitron is blasting into space. And the ship too, I guess.
What about the TARDIS?
TARDIS is is on the other side.
Care of the Cybermen.
There we are. Perfect flight.
Yes, and look what happened last time.
Oh, that was a lot of fuss. Just a bumpy landing, that's all. It won't happen again. I know. What are you up to now? Let's have a look at the time scanner.
The what?
The time scanner. Instead of the normal picture showing where we are, it gives you a glimpse of the future. The second
The
side.
altar just looks
Very
ridiculous.
dangerous. Oh, nonsense. I haven't used it very much. It's not very reliable, as you can see.
Doctor? Look!
What do you expect?
All right, so that was the Moonbase. Okay, Andrew, tell me, what did you think of the Moonbase? What'd you think of it?
It was okay.
Was it better or worse, you think, than the 10th planet?
Better.
Okay, why was it better?
Because it had better special effects.
Special effects were a little better. It's only been about a year, but the special effects are better. Okay? Yeah, sure. The Cybermen, you know, they're actually kind of more cyber. Instead of looking kind of like they're covered in medical equipment, they're almost like robots at this point. I like the look of the Cybermen too, but did you notice you had a hard time understanding them? So beforehand, they spoke in a shrill voice. They talked like this, sort of thing.
You must come and live with us.
But now they speak with a mechanical buzz, so now half the time I don't understand a word that they're saying.
I shall count to 10.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of tricky. Also, for some reason, and this is the only time this happens, the Cybermen have 3 fingers, or 2 fingers and a thumb. They have that. But I mean, you could argue that they're just wearing special space gloves, but we'll see the Cybermen in space in different episodes. But space gloves.
But that's the only time they wear them.
This is the only time we see them with space gloves, or with yeah.
Whatever those are.
We gave them new weapons now. Like before, they had sleep hands, but now they just shoot lightning out of their hands. They don't have their big heat guns like this. Now they got like little magic wand guns, like abacadabra, like that. This is very, very obvious. Star Trek fans, take note. I know you haven't really seen any Star Trek, but the Borg, introduced in Star Trek Next Generation, are based off the Cybermen, and this story absolutely shows it. First off, we have the Cybermen introducing a type of virus that's, you know, it's a virus, but it's a microscopic thing that it makes the person sick and then prepares them for cyber conversion, very much like the nano probes in Star Trek. Then you see the veins that get all dark. They say it's the nerves, but it falls along their blood vessels, so figure that out. And then effectively turns them into zombies, which is how the Borg assimilate people as of Star Trek First Contact, even down to the look on the face.
Which came first, the Star Trek or the Doctor Who episode?
Well, Star Trek: The Next Generation was in 1987, and like the Borg were introduced in like 1988. So like 20 years after this.
So the Borg are a ripoff to Cybermen?
It's a little different. Without going into too much detail, when the Borg were originally developed for Star Trek, they were going to be like insects. So, but insects were too expensive to do. Big, insects. So instead, they decided to go with cyborgs. So it's not really a ripoff. It's just and the Borg look completely different, but how they act and what they do is very similar. So, okay. So Andrew, what do you think about the difference between the live action and the animated, which we will see again in the Invasion? What do you think?
I would prefer the live action because it's more realistic.
It is. But when you have the animation, you don't see the cheap special effects.
True.
Mm-hmm. But one thing Andrew did notice is that with the animation, they always look like they're angry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's how Big Finish draws people. So this is something we'll see again with the Invasion, in that, like, when we get to see the live action, we get to see them move around a lot more, their facial expressions a lot more. So with animation, you can be a little limited in facial expressions and how people are moving and all what's going on, but they were limited. Live action was limited by special effects, whereas animation, you don't need any wires down for the UFOs for animation. You just draw the UFO coming down, right? So it's different. It's different, right? It's too bad that we lost 2 of the episodes. We're never gonna find them, barring some miracle.
Deep in the internet. almost impossible to find.
No. They were destroyed before the internet existed. So we're not gonna find them, barring some miracle, barring like
unless we find a CD tape of it.
No, it's not even a CD. They were like big film reels.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so that was something that we should mention, is that the vision of computers in the future still used magnetic tape. That's something that's not only in Doctor Who. That's something that you'll see in a lot of old science fiction, is because they couldn't imagine computers being that different. They thought they'd be more powerful, but they're still using the big old magnetic tape reels. And these days, that concept is utterly foreign to Andrew. He's never seen a magnetic tape computer. Why would he? And like, I only know it just through pictures of books.
I have a Mac over there, and that's a computer.
And that's and it's just a, it's just it looks like just a monitor. I mean, that's more powerful than any computer when I was Andrew's age that I could have ever thought of. Here's some things. One thing I really liked, very atmospheric. You could really feel it was a dark story and that people could die and that there was a lot at stake. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can really feel it. However, and this is another thing that you mentioned to me, the pacing, it can be kind of slow. Andrew said, not a lot of stuff really happens. Well, stuff does happen, and exciting stuff happens, but it's drawn out, and there's big breaks in between it. That's called pacing. So, especially...
Not new Doctor Who episodes.
Well, it's different now, because new Doctor Who is made for this audience. But, especially episode 2, I thought was the slowest. Yeah, and some cool stuff did happen, but it was pretty slow. But you know what? There's some genuinely creepy moments in this story.
I almost fell asleep today.
Found it a little silly. Death by spray bottle. It's like, like nail polish remover. That's like a plastic. They've got plastic on their chest. Let's make our own. And not only does it works really well. And not only did they let's measure out, let's make a specific type of plastic remover, they're just throwing random chemicals in. They're like, let's dump some in this, dump some of that, and let's see, maybe, and it works super well. I would imagine actually this stuff, if it worked that well on degrading the Cybermen's plastic stuff, it was probably horrendously poisonous to even breathe in.
Oh yeah.
But hey, it worked. Not to mention Ben's amazing aim, where he's going across the moon in low gravity, and the Cyberman is like, 20 feet away, and he just lobs this plastic dissolving bomb, and thank God it exploded. Can you imagine if it just bounced off the Cyberman's chest?
Oh, no.
Bonk. Whoops. We just wasted it. Now, going back, so they think that these men are suffering from a plague, and we noticed this, remember? So what are they doing with these guys who they think are super sick?
They're just putting them in quarantine.
Oh, and they're picking them up. And they're handling them, and they're touching them, and they're like, oh yeah, he's sick. Oh, he's sick, all right, yeah, look at that. He's so sick. They're not even wearing gloves.
Ugh.
It's like, aren't you guys professionals?
If I saw that, I would first wear gloves before even considering touching it.
I wouldn't touch it. I just wouldn't touch it. I'd be like, oh, no thanks. No thanks. That's all the notes that I have. Do you have any other thoughts about the Moonbase, Andrew?
Not really.
Okay, so, what would you rate it out of 5? How many Cybermats? Remember, we gave the 10th planet 3.2 Cybermats out of 5. And you said this one's better than the 10th planet, so what would you give it?
3.5.
So it's only a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's like a tiny bit better than the 10th planet. Okay, that's fair. We'll give it 3.5 Cybermats out of 5. Now, next week, Andrew, luckily I already own this DVD. We are going to watch a very special Doctor Who story. We're still staying with the second Doctor, and we're going all the way to Telos for Tomb of the Cybermen. You all stoked?
Will they look different?
Then they will look a little different. They'll be better.
Will they have the balls?
I don't remember if they have the wiffle balls attached. Yeah.
They won't have the crab hands.
Yeah, they're gonna change the crab hands.
Look what I can do. Like and subscribe, and join Cyberman Son for more daily videos. Well, weekly.
Weekly, daily, monthly.
It's all the
Who
same
knows?
thing.
See you next time.